Hello, welcome to the competitive part of the festival. Wow, this is a new way of doing things, isn't it? But we've all had to adapt to doing different things in different ways this year, and in some ways, I guess it can make you more creative. I'm at home, obviously, and you might hear the sound of my wife giving singing lessons online in another room. She's had to adapt to doing that. Um, so here we are. I've really enjoyed listening to your performances. Thank you so much for taking the time to record them and present them so professionally. And it seemed that you really enjoyed your playing too, and in many ways I think the results were better overall because A, you could take more time over preparing and recording, and B, there were no nerves to get in the way of your performance because you weren't playing in front of an audience. And nerves can be a real problem, can't they? And as performers we need to find ways of overcoming them. And they do affect your breathing particularly. So obviously if you're playing any wind instrument, it's always going to be a problem if there's nerves getting in the way. So to the competition, because there are slightly fewer entries in some classes, we've decided to adjudicate the performances as one big class and award first, second and third place overall. So what was I looking for? How did I come to a decision? Well, of course everybody's at a different stage in their learning or playing, but the same elements of music and technique apply, whatever stage you're at really, and however experienced you are. We never stop learning, so there's always something to gain from a live performance at whatever stage you're at. Overall, I'm looking for good control of the instrument and musicality in the playing. But the first basic musical things is like, is it in tune? Is it in time? Are dynamics used? How are long notes treated? Do they have a shape and direction? Do they just sit there? And then we get into the area of style. Is it stylish and musical playing? Does it really sound like a folk tune or a blues? Does it sound like it's intended to sound? If there's improvisation, now this is a tricky one. Improvisation comes in many forms, and of course some people say, well, you can play what you like. But for me, does it make sense? Does the improvisation make sense? Does the improvised melody stick to the chordal structure or the harmonies? Is it fluent? Is it interesting to listen to, or is it just a series of random notes? Does it have a structure overall or a shape? And then we get to the instrumental techniques. If you're playing a chromatic, are you making full use of the potential of the instrument, or are you playing it like a diatonic? Are the single notes clear? If you're using tongue blocking or lip pursing to achieve that clarity of single notes, there shouldn't be any extra notes coming in unless they're intentional harmony notes. If you're playing chords, if you like vamping an accompaniment or as a way of varying the texture, you go into a more of a chordal passage. Are they actual chords, or are they just a collection of random notes that you happen to find as you blow or draw? Does the breath flow consistently to create a steady and even tone? Because, as we know, there can be quite a difference in pressure sometimes between blow and draw, and that needs to be evened out unless you're going for a particular effect. So here are the adjudications, and I'm going to give a brief comment on each performance, and then at the end I'll give you the placings. So excuse me while I just find on my screen the things that I've been writing. Here we are. So we started. The first performance was Shirish Swami. This was a really musical performance, Shirish. It was great to hear you play. I love the sound that you make, particularly. It's always a warm tone that you have. And I thought you had a really good sense of rhythm and some stylish phrasing here. I thought you used dynamics really thoughtfully, and the long notes had direction, and they were musically shaped, and there was a really nice use of hand vibrato too. I really enjoyed your video, that cut between the club scene and the close-up of you. I thought that was really nicely produced as well. It's great to be able to come up with something like that. So really nicely performed, thank you. And I've just put a couple of notes about what to do on the fast notes. Really make sure that you articulate the faster passages clearly to ensure that there isn't any blurring between the notes. Really articulate each one. But that is a good performance. Thank you very much, Shirish. Then we came to Joe O'Callaghan, or Callaghan, perhaps. I don't know, but I do apologise if I pronounce people's names wrong. This was a jam, but a really stylish blues playing, excellent, well-controlled bending. I like the diaphragmatic vibrato that you used. Good use of the hands for muting and varying the tone and getting the wah-wah effect. Really good musical instincts here, Joe. Great phrasing, lots of invention in the shape of the improvisation, while also still giving us little repetitions to latch onto as well. You used one chorus, had a riff going round and round, and I quite like that because it really gave something to hang on to there. Much to admire in lots of invention in your playing, and I love the energy that you put into your performance. I think that makes a difference too. Standing and really giving it some was good to see. So well done, thank you for that. It really gave it some rhythmic drive. Again, like I said to Shirish, don't lose the clarity on the faster bits, on the faster phrases. Just make sure that you really articulate clearly. Next was Pip Phillips. This was nice. Claire de Lune. A nice contrast in style. I really like the tone that you made here. There was good breath control over the long phrases, good use of the chromatic button for decoration of the melody, and I thought you used good variety and contrast in tone, and good use of vibrato too. Stylish, inventive and confident playing, I've written here. And I like the free improvisation bit in the middle. Well done. Thank you very much, Pip. Sorry, I'm just getting rid of those so I can find my next one, which is Jonathan. Well done, Jonathan. The use of tremolo was just right, I thought, for this tune. It's nice to hear a tremolo. This was very positive playing, good projection of the sound, clear single notes, good articulation of the melody. I thought you phrased really musically and the playing was really nicely timed with the track. Perhaps now just think about adding dynamics, a little bit more dynamics to vary the or just a contrast, and also varying the tone. You can explore tonal qualities on your harmonica too. But well done, and thank you very much for your performance. Then we had Steve Scott. This flowed quite well. I like the sound here. The melody had a nice clear articulation. Tone was very pleasing. Lots of nice vibrato. I think you could probably go further with the vibrato. I wasn't sure whether this was played with another live instrument or a recording, but sometimes the timing wasn't quite together, and I think you just need to lock in with either the other player or the recording just to make sure that your rhythms absolutely match, because I think sometimes you're just rushing the phrases a tiny little bit there. Paul Brown was next. This was nice blending of melody and vamped accompaniment. This is the only one that actually did this, and I think it's a really good skill to be able to master. I thought you did ever so well with this. The melody was really clear. The balance between the melody and the accompaniment was very well controlled too. The melody always came through clearly. Good time, good rhythmic attack, and I thought the whole thing had nice cohesion and drive. It was a little short, but it was ever so nice. I did enjoy that, and very skillful playing. Well done. Tony Questa was next. You played with confidence, Tony. Good fluency, good tone, good single note clarity there. And the shape of the melody came across really, really well. I think you could probably just add a few more dynamics and a little bit more tonal variety. Very nice playing, well done. Tony Akert was next, playing with a nice blues style, so good bending of notes. Very nice fluent improvisation. You followed the changes really effectively, and the range of the instrument was really well used. Single notes were clear, good clear articulation. I think just add now dynamics and a little bit more tonal variety just to improve that even further. Dave Woodcock, nice to hear the tremolo for this piece. I like the fact that you used the full range of the instruments. This was fluent and confident, full tone, projected the sound really, really well, and some effective vibrato too. Just occasionally there's a few extraneous notes creeping in. Try and keep it make sure you're doing your tongue blocking to make the single notes really, really clear. Don't let any notes get in the way that aren't required there. Well done, thank you, Dave. Robert, there was much to enjoy here, Robert. I did enjoy this. Very stylish blues playing, well controlled, bending of notes. And I thought you set the piece off really well. You had the solo line at the beginning that set the tempo, and I thought you led the band from the outset. Lots of inventive improvisation. I like the range that you used, the good variety of tone, and I like the contrast in the structure too. There was a really nice change to chordal playing as opposed to single note playing, just to contrast the texture too, and that's something that is quite useful to do. I like the dynamics as well that you use. So good, proficient, confident and ensured playing I've written there, so well done. Shirish came up now next with a solo chromatic, Lara's theme. Thanks for taking the time to get the sound on the recording just right. It was really good quality of sound here, Shirish, thank you. I thought your playing had good clear tone, good use of vibrato, just occasionally some interference from other notes into your melodies. Make sure you're getting your tongue blocking right so that your single notes are absolutely clear. Your phrasing was musical and smooth, and there was a really nice contrast when you went to the chordal section. Thank you very much for another lovely performance there, Shirish. Then Pip again with a jazz solo this time. You played Pip with a really nice tone, effective vibrato, very stylish phrasing, and some nice bending too. Some of the melodic decoration worked really, really well. I like the flourishes up and down the instrument, but just don't take care not to overuse that. You did it quite a lot. Once or twice is good, but don't overuse that. And make sure that any arpeggios or runs that you play make harmonic sense, that they all have a sound harmonic basis, should I say. So well done. And one thing that applies to you, but sometimes applies to other people as well, when you're playing a well-known tune, or any jazz tune really, make sure that the first statement of that tune is absolutely straight, and you play the tune note for note. Then you can go into improvising. If you embellish at the start, we never really know what the tune is. So just that's not just for you, but for anybody else that's doing improvising. The head, or the main part of the tune, needs to be really clearly stated at the start. Patrick Byrne next, Sir Duke. Now this is a notoriously difficult riff on any instrument, so well done for challenging yourself to try this on the harmonica. Really well done, Patrick. Not always totally successful, not always totally in time, but it was a brilliant attempt. You did really well to capture Stevie Wonder's sound as well. The tone and the style of his playing, particularly in the melodic decoration. I like the little chromatic flicks at the start of the notes or phrases, just so Stevie Wonder. I thought you just captured that beautifully. The improvisation made good harmonic sense, had shape and flow, and always referred back to the original melody, which I think is important as well, because the listener can sometimes get lost in what you're doing with an improvisation, but you always referred back to where it came from. So I thought that was intelligent playing. Well done, Patrick. Then we had Tony Questa. Again, this was another well-chosen tune, and it gives you the chance to explore a really good range on your instrument. As I said before, I might not have read this out, but I wrote it down. Just try to make sure that you keep a consistent pulse within the framework of the piece, just so that we hear the phrase structure and we get where the piece is going. Sometimes I just feel that we lost the sense of pulse there. And again, just add a few more dynamics and tonal variety there to improve that even further. Well done. Bill Dixon was next. I thought this had a very nice sound, clear note articulation, and some nice vibrato. Good dynamics. You could probably go further with the dynamics, but at least there were some real attempts at making some dynamic variety there. The playing was secure in time and in rhythm. Just free it up a little, let it flow. Perhaps in terms of the rhythm, it was just perhaps a little bit rigid sometimes, so you can now explore just loosening that up a little bit. Martin Lee, this was very expressive playing on Bring Him Home. I thought you shaped the phrases very nice, and it was particularly effective on the long notes, where there were many long notes in his tune, and there were lots of lovely swells and diminuendos as well. So very well done. Single melodic notes, very carefully articulated. Lovely tone, very pleasing to listen to, and really clearly in time with the track. I thought it was simple, but in a good way, understated, and very effective musical performance. So well done, and thank you for your performance. Mike Heath, this had a nice warm tone, enhanced by really nice reverb on the recording, which I thought worked very nicely. You used vibrato very well. Timing was secure with the track, and overall, really good control. Musical playing, I've just put it could benefit from a little more tonal and dynamic variety, and just loosen up on the phrasing perhaps a little bit as well. But really good work there, Mike. Ross was next. This performance had some really well controlled playing, well projected, good tone, good shape to the phrases. There were a few extra notes in your melody line. Just make sure that your tongue blocking is absolutely secure so we get those single notes. Mostly fluent and together with the track, and again, perhaps a little more vibrato just to colour the sound, but a very enjoyable performance. Thank you. Sean was next with the Stone Fox Chase. Now, great to hear the Old Grey Whistle Test theme. I had to just check who had originally played that. That's Charlie McCoy on the original, but you actually made it sound like the original. You captured the style perfectly. There's some really nice bending and growling, exactly as it should be. And St. Louis Blues had some really good musical instincts in the improvisation, and again, some tasty bluesy inflections and bends. So I'd like to hear that with an accompaniment, though, because when we play without an accompaniment, sometimes we close the gaps up. If there are rests, we just close those gaps up so the actual pulse gets lost. So do work with accompaniments if you possibly can, because it really helps. Roger, solo chromatic. This time, the piece called DG178. I'm sure it has a name. This is a lovely tune and nice to play on the harmonica. Not as easy as it would seem. This flowed quite nicely, and the single note melody was quite nicely articulated. Although there were a couple of stray notes that we didn't need to hear. So do try and get that single note sound. Good breath control and good projection of the sound. And really, some good attempts at dynamics too. So well done. And then last, Lena Freeman with Goldfinger. This was stylish playing, good details in the articulation. This is something that I'd not heard until this performance, was the contrast between legato and staccato. You were highlighting certain notes with staccato phrasing, and I thought that was very effective. It's obviously you've given much thought to this and a lot of practice to get that variety of tone and texture. Clear, well-projected tone, good clarity in the single note playing as well. Perhaps a few more contrasts in the dynamics now, just to put the icing on the cake. So very well done. So now, the big moment, we come to the results. There are a few highly commended, which I didn't read out, but when you get your sheets, you will see that you were highly commended. But in third place now, Paul Brown. Congratulations. In second place, Martin Lee, and in first place, Robert Ivacic, if that's how you say it. I think you do. Can we have a massive virtual round of applause for those winners, please? Thank you. Well, thank you all for taking part. I've really enjoyed doing it this way, and I hope you have too. Keep playing, try to play with other musicians when you're allowed to, as much as possible, because playing with other people really, really helps, I think, and it can be really inspiring. Hope to see you all next year. Enjoy the rest of the festival, and now I'll hand you back to Dave. Thank you very much.